My name is Frank, and I spent 30 years building a life my family never fully appreciated until the day they needed something from me. I'm going to tell you about the summer my children decided I was too old to matter, and the way I proved them wrong without saying a single angry word. It started on a Thursday afternoon in June. I was sitting on the porch of the lake house, the one I'd bought back in 1987 when my kids were still small enough to fit in life jackets I had to strap on with both hands. The lake was calm that day. Not a single boat passed by. Just the sound of the trees moving in the wind and the old screen door creaking whenever a gust hit it. My phone rang. It was my daughter, Linda. "Dad, we need the keys to the lake house," she said. No hello. No asking how I was. Just straight to what she wanted. I asked her why. "Mike and the kids want to spend a week there. We need a break. It's been a crazy year, and honestly, Dad, we're too busy for your drama right now. Just tell us where you keep the keys." I told her I'd think about it. She laughed. Not a warm laugh. More like the kind of laugh you give someone who just said something ridiculous. "Dad, it's not complicated. The keys are in your desk drawer at home, right? Just give them to Linda when she gets there," my son, Kevin, said. He'd gotten on the phone somehow. I hadn't even known he was there. "This is my house too," he added. "We've been coming there since we were kids. It's not like we're strangers." I didn't say anything. I just hung up. Let me back up a little. I need to tell you about the years before this, so you understand why I did what I did. I worked for 32 years at the machine shop on Route 9. I started as an apprentice, became a foreman, and then eventually bought the whole business when the old owner retired. It wasn't a big shop. We made parts for local farms and a few companies that needed custom metal work. It paid the bills. It put food on the table. It put my kids through college. My wife, June, passed away 8 years ago. Cancer. The kind that moves fast. By the time they found it, there wasn't much they could do. She was gone within 6 months. After she died, I kept working. I wasn't ready to stop. The shop was my escape. When I was there, I didn't have to think about the empty chair at the dinner table, or the way her side of the bed stayed cold. My children visited less and less as the years went by. At first, it was understandable. They had their own lives. Kevin moved to another state for his wife's job. Linda stayed local but got busy with her kids and her husband's business. They called on holidays. Sometimes on my birthday. Then the calls started getting shorter. "How are you, Dad?" Kevin would say. "Fine," I'd say. "Good. Good. Well, we should go. The kids have practice." Click. Or Linda would say, "We're too busy to come this weekend, Dad. Maybe next month." Next month would come, and there would be another excuse. I stopped expecting them to visit. I stopped expecting them to call. I started spending my weekends at the lake house alone. I'd fish. I'd read. I'd fix things that didn't need fixing. I'd sit on the porch and watch the water. It was peaceful. It was lonely. But I got used to it. Then the phone call about the keys came. I want to tell you exactly what happened in my head when I hung up. I sat there on the porch for a long time. The sun started going down. The lake turned gold, then orange, then dark. I thought about all the years I'd given them. The money for college. The help with down payments on houses. The times I'd driven 4 hours to babysit when they needed someone to watch the kids. The Christmas dinners I'd cooked for everyone even when they said they were too busy to come. I thought about the way Kevin laughed when I tried to talk to him about my retirement plans. "Dad, you're not getting any younger. Maybe you should just take it easy." I thought about the way Linda rolled her eyes when I tried to give her advice about her husband's business. "Dad, you don't understand how things work these days." I thought about the way they'd stopped asking me about my life. They didn't know I'd been to the doctor 3 times that year for chest pains. They didn't know I'd been sleeping badly. They didn't know I'd rewritten my will 6 months ago, after a conversation with my lawyer that had left me shaken. I didn't tell them about any of it. They were too busy. So I sat there, and I made a decision. The next morning, I drove into town. I went to the lawyer's office. His name was Carl, and he'd been handling my affairs for years. I want to change the will, I told him. He looked at me over his glasses. What did you have in mind? I told him. I made my changes specific. I made sure everything was clear. I made sure there would be no room for interpretation. When I was done, I felt lighter. Like I'd set something down I'd been carrying for too long. Now I need to tell you about the weeks that followed. Because my children didn't just stop calling. They started showing up. First it was Linda. She drove up to the lake house on a Saturday morning. She didn't call first. She just showed up. Dad, she said, standing on the porch. We need to talk about the keys. I invited her in. I made her coffee. I sat across from her at the kitchen table. The kids really want to come here, she said. It's been a rough year for us. Mike's business is struggling. The kids are acting out. We just need some time together as a family. I nodded. I listened. And we thought maybe you could help us out a little, she continued. Financially, I mean. Just until things get better. I asked her how much she needed. She told me. The number was big. Bigger than I'd expected. I can't do that, I said. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. What do you mean you can't? You have money. You've always had money. You just won't spend it. I didn't argue. I didn't. Explain. I just said no. She left angry. She didn't call for 3 weeks. Then Kevin came to visit. He drove in from out of state. He showed up on a Tuesday afternoon unannounced. Dad, he said, walking into the house like he still lived there. We need to discuss something. I let him sit down. I made him a sandwich. I waited. The family is thinking about coming back to the area, he said. Permanently. But we need a place to stay until we find something. The lake house would be perfect. I asked him how long he was talking about. Maybe 6 months. A year tops. It would be temporary. I told him I'd think about it. He didn't like that answer. Dad, this is family. This is your son. Your grandkids. Don't you want to see them? I said I did. And I meant it. Then what's the problem? He asked. I didn't answer. I just changed the subject. We talked about his drive. We talked about the weather. He left after an hour, clearly frustrated. The next week, both of them called. Together. On the same call. Dad, we need to have a family meeting, Linda said. We're coming up this weekend, Kevin said. All of us. We need to sit down and figure this out. I agreed. I said they could come. I spent the next 3 days getting ready. I cleaned the house. I stocked the fridge. I made sure there were enough beds. I wanted everything to be perfect. I also called my lawyer. I asked him to be available on Saturday afternoon. He said he would be. They arrived on Saturday morning. Both families. All the kids. The house was full in a way it hadn't been in years. For a few hours, it felt like old times. The kids ran around. Linda and Kevin argued about petty things like they always did. I sat in my chair and watched. Then, after lunch, Kevin cleared his throat. Dad, we need to talk about the will, he said. I looked at him. I looked at Linda. They were both watching me. We've been thinking, Linda said. And we think it would be better if you updated things. Made sure everything was clear. You know, so there are no surprises. I asked her what she meant. We just want to make sure the lake house stays in the family," Kevin said, "and that there are enough funds for everyone. Equal shares. That kind of thing." I nodded. I said I understood. Then I did something they didn't expect. I stood up. I walked to the front door. I opened it. "Carl," I called out. "You can come in now." My lawyer walked in. He had a briefcase in his hand. He had a folder under his arm. He sat down at the table. He opened the folder. He started reading. "Your father has made some changes to his will," he said. "Let me go over them with you." What Carl read them took about 20 minutes. I'll summarize it for you. The lake house was left to a trust. The trust would be managed by an outside company. My children would have access to the property once a year, for 1 week, if they met certain conditions. Those conditions included visiting me at least 4 times a year, calling me on my birthday, acknowledging me as a member of the family. If they didn't meet these conditions, the property would go to a local charity. The money from the business sale was divided differently than they'd expected. There were requirements about how it could be used. There were penalties for misuse. The house in town, the one I'd lived in for 40 years, was left to a different family member. Someone who'd actually visited me. Someone who'd actually called. When Carl finished reading, the room was silent. Linda started crying. Not real tears. I could tell. More like frustration tears. Kevin stood up. "This is insane," he said. "You're doing this because we're busy? Because we have lives?" "No," I said. "I'm doing this because you forgot I exist until you needed something." They tried to argue. They tried to explain. They tried to guilt me. I listened. I heard them out. I didn't change my mind. That was 2 years ago. Let me tell you what happened after. Kevin moved back to the area. He got a job locally. He visits every other Sunday now. He calls on Wednesdays. He's started bringing the kids over for dinners. Linda is different too. She apologized. She didn't say the word, but she showed it. She started sending cards. Little things. A photo of the grandkids. A drawing from when they were little. The lake house is still empty most of the year. But when they visit, they follow the rules. They come when they say they will. They call when they promise to call. I'm not sure if it's because they changed or because they're afraid of losing what they might get. Maybe both. It doesn't matter to me. The point is they're there now. Here's what I want you to take away from this story. Don't wait until you need something from someone to start treating them like they matter. Don't wait until there's a will to read to start listening to what a person has to say. Family isn't just about blood. It's about presence. It's about showing up even when it's inconvenient. It's about calling because you want to, not because you need something. I spent too many years being quiet. I thought that's what good fathers did. They provide. They don't complain. They don't make a fuss. But silence isn't always kindness. Sometimes it's just another form of neglect. Neglect of yourself. Neglect of your own needs. I'm not saying you should rewrite your will to punish your family. I'm not saying you should be bitter or angry. What I'm saying is this. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to matter. And if the people who should love you won't give you that, then you have to give it to yourself. That's what I did. And I'm better for it. If this story resonated with you, join our channel by liking and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.